I finally get around to talking about these guys. We've been busy with a whole bunch of other news and information that have been popping up, but let's cover now the rest of the Transformers Studio Series line, the Wave 1 that we'll be getting in 2024. Now, of course, I already talked extensively about the Megatron, so if you want to know more about that Leader Class 1, go check out that individual segment where I talk about the whole history even leading up to that release. But let's jump into the other ones here and have this discussion. We're going to start first with our core class. We have the core class concept art Bumblebee movie Rumble. Again, just like the Megatron I just mentioned, we're going into now concept ideas with the Studio Series line, which is really great because this opens it up to all kinds of different things. I mean, we could get unreleased ideas, different kinds of interpretations of characters, different kinds of head sculpts, different kinds of veneering and body and coloring. I mean, and of course, even non-movie characters, video game only characters, toy line only characters. The sky is the limit. And this one here with the Rumble kind of makes this suggestion that in that opening scene of the Bumblebee movie, there was probably more Decepticons there present. And considering that Soundwave was there and Soundwave had Ravage pop out of his chest, maybe Rumble was there too in spirit or anything. And what's cool about this Rumble is that he also transforms into that cube-like, square-like shape, much like the Ravage. So I'm going to take a shot in the dark here. 100% is compatible with our Voyager Class Studio Series 83 Bumblebee movie Soundwave. So we're building a little bit of a cassette army for even that version of Soundwave. And then, of course, the Rumble's going to be repainted into Frenzy. And then maybe if they want to go even more with that, who knows, we might get a concept blaster in the future. And then you could take that Rumble and paint it in Eject and Rewind, maybe go even further. And we could get a movie Rosanna. And now I'm going overboard here, but would be pretty cool to see. It would be pretty cool to see the cardboard background that's included with this core class, even though they're much more tiny. Clearly looks like that opening scene from the Bumblebee movie when all the Decepticons started rallying together with Shockwave. Kind of looks like it's that. So that even cements even more like this is probably where he would have been in the concept. Next up, we have the Last Night Mohawk of our core class. Mohawk was just one of those dudes that just didn't get a toy. It was just like, hey, he was in the movie for a hot second and then kind of bit the dust, but we never made a figure of him. And for the longest time, a lot of us hardcore Transformer fans who were like, well, guess we're never getting a Mohawk figure. We just kind of used our Revenge of the Fallen Transformers 2010 line Brimstone as kind of our stand-in for Mohawk until the day would come. And Brimstone even saw a little bit of an increase in demand as a result of it because people thought, hey, outside of third party, we might never see anything of this guy. But never say never. And now we have Mohawk here, and he looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Obviously, you could see the limitations of the core class price point. Limited paint deco. Clearly, a majority of the body of the figure is just one gray plastic and then black plastic used for the wheels, and then using those slight little paint apps to break everything up, the greens and the gold paint and stuff, just to make it stick out a little bit. But I mean, it is what it is. It's a small little motorcycle figure. And it works, matches pretty well from what we saw on the screen. I can't imagine them doing anything more within the limitations of that core class budget, but still looks pretty good. The background that he comes with is that the one of his death in the movie, that empty town that they fought in, and then that was the end of that character, unfortunately. So both these core classes are $11.99 MSRP, no MSRP increase going into 2024, so no price increases, which is nice. And these are planned to ship out February of 2024. So go check that out. Pre-orders are on Hasbro Pulse right now. We got our deluxe classes. We got Studio Series 107 Rise of the Beast Deluxe Class Scorponok. Now, this was a character that a lot of that early control art that we got of him, before we even knew the character even existed in the movie, even that stock art, had Scorponok, and it showed him with kind of like a green, mossy kind of hue on his body. And that's kind of what the buzzworthy Bumblebee 2-pack that came with Sandspear based on. It kind of had that green kind of color to it. When we finally did see the movie itself, and we got to see this character for the first time, there was actually two different kind of color palettes for this character. We had some that had a red kind of hue to him on his Scorpion mode, and then there was one or two that had blue on them. I don't know if it was just, a mistake by the animators because they were in two different scenes. But at the end of the day, people are more associated with that red color because it was used in more scenes in the movie. But that being said, the one that we got here is not the case. If you take red and blue from the two that we saw in the movie and you mix them together, you get purple. And that's what we got here today, is a purple one. Much like that original 2007 Deluxe movie Scorponok, it has a robot mode, something that is not seen in the movie, but is there to just placate into the toy and the gimmicking of Transformers having transformations. And so it does have a robot mode, but at the end of the day, it's all about, displaying it in that alt mode. I mean, I don't know a single person that owns a 2007 movie Scorponok that probably displayed it in robot mode. And it's probably going to be the same thing here. But the purple does throw me off. It is kind of bizarre. And again, considering that it was clearly red or clearly blue in the movie. And, all the images that we've seen thus far of the stock images always suggested a green, which was used with one toy already. It's a brand new tooling. So it's not just a repaint or a retool or a partial of that buzzworthy one. It's a brand new tooling from the ground up. So we can at least appreciate that. And also confusingly is the cardboard background, including with it, is the rainforest fight, which is actually the background that was used when the Maximals first met the Autobots, aka that, stranger danger scene. So if you want to reenact that, at least you could get the Scorponok, and then you could put your Cheetor and RC and Rhinox and have them all holding guns at each other and stand down and all that. So at least there's a bonus with that. Kind of a weird one. I get a feeling this is one of those I look at and go, yeah, I think Takara is going to probably do a better paint scheme of it in the future, some kind of premium version, and that'll be our best version. So you might want to hold out on that one unless you want that cardboard background for your Cheetor or something. The next Deluxe we have is Deluxe Class Studio Series 108 Wheeljack from the Rise of the Beast movie. This is 100% based off of its animation model. What I mean by that is the original Deluxe that we got in the main line of Rise of the Beast was actually based on early concepts by Hasbro. And this one here that we're talking about today is based on those final models that were used in the movie. Very different version. And this is a Deluxe Class that perfectly reflects that, especially when you look at the chest, which represents the front headlights of the Volkswagen van and everything. So if you want to get your perfect movie Wheeljack, this is the way to go. Even though the Voyager one was a very good figure, articulation, design, everything. But now that Voyager one, that Deluxe one that we got from the main line, if anything, is more of a concept art design. See where we're going there with that. Where this Studio Series 1 is going to be now our true blue version. Looking really good. I dig it. The cardboard cutout background with this one is the Cliffside Chase, as they call it. Actually, doesn't fit for this one 100% because the shot that they used is actually the exact shot that was used for the drifting of the Porsche Mirage around the corner. While yes, that scene was also shared with Wheeljack and RC and stuff, it's more associated with Mirage. So not the correct shot, but definitely something that is in that same vein. So again, if you pick it up, at least you got something for your Mirage. You could drift around. It looks really cool. Both these Deluxes, $24.99 MSRP, no price increase also going into 2024, so that's awesome. And these two are going to ship out in March of 2024, so stay tuned for that. And pre-orders also are available on Hasbro Pulse. And the last two we're going to cover are Voyager classes. We got a Voyager Class Studio Series 86, number 24, Voyager Class Junkion Scrap Heap. We've already talked in lengths about this guy in previous segments, breaking down everything from the toy leaks that we saw of the robot mode. But at least now the big thing that we could take away from this is the alt mode motorcycle that we didn't get to see clearly. And it's obviously a new partial tooling of that 3 different cycles that we now have in total from that Wreck-Ar mold. So it's nice to see that they actually went with something that makes it look different, and you have something that has different motorcycle modes, and it's not just a straight up repaint like some Wreck-Ars have been in the past with their Junkion compadres when they did the Deluxes. Also interesting is the leaks of Scrap Heap, at least when we first got them, had a very lighter brown face on the face of the robot mode, similar to what most of the Junkions have. But this one that we have here, which are CG mock-ups and stuff and hand-painted prototypes, is more of a darker kind of brown face. So I don't know if this is just an early run of the test shots. Is this a hand-painted test shot? Is this a CG, mock-up that's not done right, but time will tell when we get in-hand models from retail, and then we'll know what the final model is supposed to look like. But there is a weird contrast there from what we saw earlier from photography, which were actual in-hand items. The cardboard background with this one is the Junkion Dance Party, which is great because now you could use it with your other two Wreck-R molds, the Wreck-R and the Junk Heap, and do your little dance party and, dare to be stupid. Speaking of Junk Heap, now we understand why they didn't go with his real trademark name of Junkyard, because in that same 1027 event for Hasbro, they also debuted the G.I. Joe Classified's Mutt figure, along with, you guessed it, his dog, Junkyard. So I guess that's probably why they went with Junk Heap instead of Junkyard, even though this character historically has been called Junkyard for quite a few years now. They probably wanted to avoid confusion between two items that are literally coming out around the same time. The dog Junkyard from G.I. Joe, which, let's be real, is probably the more well-known of the two, if you had to measure the dog from G.I. Joe and the background no-name character for many decades of a Junkion. So it kind of explains that, too, from a trademark standpoint. But I guess they get to keep both at the end of the day. And the other Voyager is the Voyager Gamer Edition 06 War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, Seeker Starscream. Now, this is an odd one. The Voyager scale, has a very good foundation for budget and doing great things with Transformers. And I feel that the Voyager scale has been knocking it out of the park for a lot of different releases. And the original Deluxe Class War for Cybertron Starscream, which came out in 2013, the Deluxe Class one based on this design, was a fantastic figure that got many repaints. This time around, Tomo-san was the one who did it. Tomo-san's one of the younger designers from Takara and the company. To give an idea of how young he is, he was a kid when he watched Beast Wars in Japan and was lucky enough all those years later to actually design our Beast Wars Legacy Inferno. So he actually years later got to live his dream of designing one of his favorite characters. So he's one of the newer designers, and that might explain why this one might be a little off. But he's actually done a few other good things within the brand, so maybe this is just an off day. But for me personally, feels a little off, this one. Maybe a tad chunky. Mark from Hasbro Design did an amazing photo shoot on his Instagram showing how great this figure looks in terms of posing and the pieces and everything. Also wanted to address how some of the storage of some pieces are going to be on this figure because they might fall off in shipping, so they're going to be stored separately. So to be sure to look out for that, because now everything's like wrapped in tissue paper and stored in little compartments on the packaging. For me, I think the big issue with this figure that at least throws me off, and I know it's different for everybody, is, and Mark even said it himself, that they had to make that cockpit, that pretty much area there, large as possible to make the transformation work for the head storage and everything. But I feel that maybe there could have been something that could be done. It looks so chunky and it looks so weird, especially when you're looking at something that was made in 2013, that Deluxe one, and how much I'm leaning more on that one even more now, which is sad because some of the other ones that we've gotten from the Gamer Edition of War for Cybertron are easily superior to their originals. And fun fact, the Deluxe that Mark was using in his photo shoot, which maybe probably also didn't help things because it showed how the original looked so much better, but the one that Mark's using in his photo shoot is actually the Takara Special Edition one, which had the metallic paint on it. So that's a nice little touch too. It shows what he's got in his personal collection. It's a shame how it turned out though. But if it's one of those characters that you really want to have and the original Deluxes don't do it for you because they might be considered too small, because maybe you want something bigger that might work with your Voyager Class Optimus and Megatron from Gamer Edition. Planet X, the third-party company, did one in 2016, and that one seems to do the job. Might be a little bigger, but it shows that it could be done, and it works with the transformation. This thing also comes with, the Planet X version specifically, also comes with everything that this Voyager has, the mace, the guns, and everything. And it even comes with a little crown, too, a little extra bonus there, so that's a little nice thing, too. Not to mention, you also have the option of also buying Thundercracker and Skywarp right off the bat, because those have already been released from the Planet X version all those years ago, so gives you that option. You know that things are iffy when Proto Man is giving you third-party options instead of official options. I'm a little disappointed in this one because I love the War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron games. I love the figures that were made back in 2016 by Generations and the Hasbro crew. Not 2016, 2013 by the Hasbro crew. Those were all Aaron Archer kind of push ahead stuff. And I'm just a little disappointed how this one came out because the others that were done by Mark and Evan and the whole crew and Sam Smith came out so well. So I don't know, maybe they'll revisit it in a couple of years and we'll get a better one. Who knows? Or maybe a partial or retool of the Thundercracker and Skywarp, and they'll figure something out. But anyhow, those two Voyagers, they're going to be $34.99, so also no MSRP increase on these two either. So that's good. And February 2024 is when those are going to be coming out. Now, I already covered the Leader Class Megatron, so you could check out, again, that individual segment. And we still have plenty more to come this week in the Transformer world with tons of Transformer news. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for listening to the Transformer Slag podcast, and I'll see you in the near future.